Do you have any idea what the first Black author novel was to become a bestseller in the United States? Back to another episode of We Love Your Black Ass. I'm Keela Vaughn, and this Black Future Month, we are talking about all things Black literacy, literature, media, authors, and writing. On today's episode, I would love to dive into what is the first novel by a Black author to be considered a best-selling novel in the United States. And if you didn't know, that book is Native Son by Richard Wright. Native Son follows Bigger Thomas, a Black man growing up in Chicago in the 1930s whose life is shaped and ultimately destroyed by poverty, fear, and systematic racism. The novel argues that a racist society creates the violence that it also condemns, exposing how oppression limits choice, humanity, and freedom. Native Son was published in 1940, and at the time of its premiere, it sold over 215,000 copies, which was a really huge deal for any book at the time, but especially a novel written by a Black man. Native Son was the first novel by a Black author to be selected for Book of the Month Club, which was the mainstream pipeline to national bookseller at the time. Through the Book of the Month Club, this book was able to reach white middle-class readers who otherwise would have never stumbled upon this book on their own or even taken a liking to it. Richard Wright wrote Native Son during the Great Depression. At the time, Chicago was deeply segregated by housing, labor, and policies. Black migration had really shaped the way that the North was because so many Black people were migrating from the South to the North. And it's important to know that at this time, racism in the North was really being minimized because of the extremities of racism in the South. When people were moving to the North, or before they even had moved there, their narrative was, oh, it's not that bad over there, which was really minimizing the impact that racism still had on the lives of Black people who lived in the North. Something that's special about the book Native Son, and if you ever read it, I'm sure you'll agree, this book did not set out to make the main character, whose name was Bigger Thomas, a likable person at all. It definitely kept it very raw, honest, and truthful about the reality that was a lot of Black men who were struggling against their identity, a system that didn't like them, poverty, etc., etc. So it's not like his character was dressed up anyway. His character was actually really hard for a lot of people to digest, even Black people. In the book, he's angry, he's fearless, he's impulsive, and even violent. But something that's special about the book Native Son is that Wright argues that it is not a person's innate nature to be this way, but the conditions in which a person is born that makes them this way. This is what we call literary naturalism. Literary naturalism considers all of the conditions that shape a character. What is this character being made